Welcome to another episode of Anime Lost Translation. I'm your host, Arthur. With me, I have Ben once more. I do have a question. What makes a good main character?
For me, that makes like to them like they can't be one track minded. Um, just saying that Asta kind of comes to mind from Black Clover, but having some depth, actually being able to like be like a strong character, being able to lead everybody and actually like getting things done is always good. One that you can kind of relate to as well, like just like they're not just like completely like cut off from everything is always good. Yeah, those are some of the biggest things that I like to look for in a main character. What about yourself?
I would say, like, what for me makes a good character is if there's any room to growth with that character. Because if you're gonna go into a show and then the character's like, hey, I know how to do everything, Kirito. The thing is, like, for me, a main character has to have more interesting aspect to it than just I want to be the very best, like Noah ever was.
Talk about my boy like that either.
Not on Black and White, but that's besides the point.
Don't talk about Black and White, Arthur. We know this. It's terrible.
It's like Black and White it's so bad, but like the games are so much better.
Yeah. The show, Black and White's show, it was god awful.
Yeah, and also doesn't help that your main character on that show, Mr. Ash Ketchum, or Satoshi, for the Japanese listeners, I know I'm bad, kind of, I don't know what's the better wording for him. He kind of goes backward.
They reset him for Black and White. They were originally gonna do like Black and White as like a soft reset for Pokemon. So like if you actually look at it, like the Pokédex and everything, so you'll see that it's a copy and paste to Gen 1. But like while they're resetting that, they also reset Ash. So like all of his knowledge and experiences just kind of left him when it got to that point, which just it really killed it like a lot.
And that's the thing, is like I think like with shows like especially like Pokemon, you want, after so many years, you want him to grow, you want him to expand, you want him to keep the knowledge.
Before he did that in just the season before in like Diamond and Pearl, he grew so much. Like his experiences made him. He should have won the league at that point in time. Like he literally had to bring in somebody who used an action replay and just like made hacks just to beat him, and then they just reset him, and it's just really it sucks when they do that to the main character.
Asher will be like the one that we're gonna go back and forth with this one. There's like characters that I'm just like, there's we're talking in the previous episode about Senku. He's like in a way a very good main character for a show that you have to slowly rebuild your world because there's nothing really else you can do. And then you have, you talk about the fact that you like Ichigo. I'm not familiar with Bleach, but you saying like, would you say he's a solid main character?
It might just be nostalgia for me, of course, but I think so. Like, Ichigo, like, obviously he gets his powers in the first episode. There's a lot of things when it comes to him because, like, he's different races because, like, he has his Soul Reaper's abilities, but his mom was a Quincy. He was a Fullbringer. He has his Hollow powers. So, like, you learn a lot about him as the story goes. You learn, like, more about his family history. You learn more about, like, what kind of powers he can do and, like, everything that goes on because, like, his father, just going off of it, was a Soul Reaper captain from one of the like noble families, and so like he's from like a noble bloodline for one, from both sides of his family. Cause pretty sure his mother was like high up in the Quincy's as well, and you see like how he grows. You go into his backstory, like how his mom died, like how his parents lost their powers. Like you see like how much he cares for his sisters, how much he really cares for his friends. You see his relationships grow with people who at first were either like dicks or people that you didn't really like, to being like some of the greatest characters because like one, he helps them, and two, like it just all comes together because he's there. That's why I think he's just a really good MC.
Yeah, I think like, even though like I hate shows that you like they're super overpowered in the beginning. It's just like if there's like a depth to it, if there's like actually a reasoning for it, that's fine. Some shows don't explain that. And that's like, I think, the fault of Sword Art Online. Kirito, they don't explain it why he's so OP. Just because
they do a little bit because we do know that he was one of the beta testers for the games. He's one of the ones that like helped write the player handbook. He's one of the ones that also just like he got the farthest in the game compared to everybody else before the game actually came out. So it did explain it somewhat, but then he also was just like kind of instantly the best. Well, I can't say that because like if you think about it, like the first floor dungeon, he didn't really have anybody on his team until Asuna, not Asuma, that's a Naruto character. Asuna like joined him up, and then they were able to kill the boss because they like took it into their own hands. And after that, he just became literally like just stupidly OP. But like they did explain it a little bit, but also when it just comes to SAO, they could have. It was very rushed. They could have expanded on it a lot more. They could have made the first game into 3 or 4 seasons if they really wanted to. So like I do get what you mean because like they did skip so much, making it seem like he just started off like super OP when
right,
it probably wasn't like that.
And the thing is like with that show is the fact that I don't like the fact that if you're gonna have something called a tournament, you have to have a tournament. It doesn't matter. The best one out there would be the Dark Tournament or Yu Hakusho, but I'm not talking about that right now. I'm just talking about in terms of like if you're gonna have a tournament itself, don't have the tournament be like one episode long and Kirito wins it. Don't make it so obvious. It doesn't take me a liking to your character if you're gonna be just OP and beat everybody. You have to be able to. It needs to be relatable. Like for instance, like we talked about Senku. Senku is just like you. Even though like I might not understand a lot of the science that's going on, but you can relate on what his mission to accomplish. With Kirito, it's kind of like, okay, you beat the bad guy, but what else is there?
But you also have to kind of consider that, like, about the anime itself, because with them being in Sword Art Online, literally the only goal, really, is if you don't want to live in the game for the rest of your life, you have to get to floor 100 to beat the boss to get out. So, like, obviously, like, he does have to become super powerful to even get that far, and, like, obviously they only made it to, like, floor, like, I don't know, like 78 or something. It wasn't nearly 100, because that's when he figured out, like, who Kayaba was and like his character in the game and like what like he figured it out, which was good because I mean he's a smart dude when it at least comes to like in-game knowledge and all that kind of stuff. But like there were he did lose like once or twice, I guess, because he did lose to Kayaba's character in that major fight where it made him join their guild. So like they tried to like show him lose, but it was really only like that one time. And then obviously when he fought Kayaba to get out of the game, he technically lost in one at the same time. But yeah, I get what you mean because they definitely just do a lot to just show that he's the best, and like they don't really show his losses, like when he was trying to. It's going off like how they try to show he's the best. When he wanted to make his sword, the blue sword, and he had to get the metal from the ingot from the dragon's lair, and like he just jumped down. They couldn't really get out. Like they got it, and then he literally just like jumped onto the dragon's back and just like flew it up into the sky. It's like that's a really cool thing to do, but it's kind of unrealistic when even in the game, and two, it just kind of makes it seem like he can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like there's other shows, like for instance, I don't know if you've seen a Vinland Saga. Have you seen that show?
I have not.
Okay, so Vinland Saga is pretty much like it. Like I said, I'm not gonna really touch upon the story, but Thorfinn is the main character, but he goes through so much trauma and so much stuff that happens in his life that he kind of like has to change his ways in order to improve. So it's like he needs to have a lot of losses. The point I'm trying to make is like he has to have a lot of losses and death going on around him in order for him to change his perspective in life. The problem is that the problem, because it's like a different, like completely different dynamic from season 1 to season 2. Besides changing studios, I think it goes from like Wit to like Mappa, and we'll have another show dedicated to Mappa. But the thing is, like, his growth as a person, as a character, is great because he goes from this like very vengeful kid to like a more of like a diplomat in a way from season 1 to season 2. So he kind of like, you should watch him. Great show. Season 1, amazing, and then the OPs on that show, top notch. Never skip it. Never skip. There's some shows that I do skip it because it's kind of like, okay, whatever. But the thing is, like, the main character, and he's not. I want to say he's whiny when shit happens to him, but he is able to understand it and to be like, okay, I'm doing this for a reason. I'm doing this because I have to change my ways. Like, there's some shows that I'm just like, what is really the point? Like, I think you mentioned earlier, a show that I haven't seen it, and I think it's like they have like kind of like two shows that are kind of similar to each other, which is like Black Clover and Fairy Tail. They're kind of like shadows from.
So, like, okay, so I've already mentioned Asta from Black Clover because one of the things about him is there's not a whole lot of depth to him. He doesn't have magic, so, like, his entire life he's, like, working on his muscles and everything. He wants to, everybody gets their grimoire, and everybody gets one but him. He finally does get one, but it's like a demon grimoire because he has like a demon magic in him. Basically, it's anti-magic, so magic doesn't really work against him, and like his swords that he's able to summon can like neutralize magic. But the thing about him is just he's super strong. He yells a lot, and he wants to be magical king. I think that's the term for it, which is understandable. It's kind of like Naruto wanting to be Hokage, but like that's all there really is to him. It's just, I'm gonna be stronger, is my rival, and that's it. Like, there's not a whole lot of depth to him. I like the show, but like, they could have done a lot better with the main character. I feel like all he does is yell, and so like that's not great. But like when it comes to like Natsu and Fairy Tail, Natsu, he's strong. He's not like super obsessive about it. He's like a funny character who can like you can kind of relate to. He truly cares about his friends and everything like that. He does go above and beyond a lot of the time. I think Natsu I wouldn't really compare the shows besides just the fact that they have magic, but I would say that Natsu is a much better main character than Asta is for sure.
Yeah, and I think like I heard this like a while back that voice actor for like the Japanese version for Black Clover, I think it like strained his voice cord so bad because he was yelling so much.
That's all Asta does is he does is yell. Even in like just normal talking situations, he's just screaming. So like I could definitely see that.
Right, and that's the thing is like it's not gonna make me. It's to me is like a turnoff in a way for me to not watch the show, because if the main character is just average or just there for the sake of being there because you need a main character, and it's kind of like, what is really the purpose of the show? There are shows like I don't know if you've seen it, but like you probably have. I'm not sure. The main character. There's two main characters. You have Hinata and you have Kageyama. Is it Kageyama? I get them both confused. Kagami? I'm not sure. Anyways, I might be wrong with the names, but you have two main characters, but the thing is, like it's like one. It's kind of one are pushing the other to be the very best, playing the game, and then you have a an ensemble cast that is very solid on Haikyuu. there's like 6 or 7 characters that you can be like, okay, I can't relate to that person. It's just not the main character that carries a show. There's other shows like, and we talked about this earlier starting recording, is the fact that we're talking about JJK. Now you haven't seen it, but one of the main characters, Itadori, he's the main character before he gets the power from Sukuna. There's a lot of dynamic to him. There's a lot of, even though he's like a brash young man, I'm gonna call him delinquent because it's not the case, because it seems like it's a like a trope within anime. It's like, anime is like notorious for having tropes, but he's not like a delinquent or anything like that. But he's like a very brash, strong, young man. So, but he doesn't really think about consequences and stuff. He just does it. It's kind of like something that's not very common on a lot of shows, because I think there's another show, I don't think you've seen it, which I stopped talking about it. It's like kind of, one trope that I'm kind of tired of is kind of like the lazy, kind of dumbish main character. What was that?
Boruto. At least at the beginning.
Right, and the thing is, like, for instance, like Chainsaw Man, the main character is just there. I mean, I'm sorry for your Chainsaw Man fans out there. I watched the show, I seen the show, but at the same time, I don't think I can relate myself to the main character. Hell's Paradise, the character is like so nonchalant about stuff, and I'm just like, that trope to me, like, you can only carry the show so much, because like I want somebody that's going to be, it doesn't need to be like OP to begin with. The problem that we have with Kirito, the thing is like, because the thing that you only show him losing twice, that doesn't make the argument to be the greatest.
Just at least thinking about that, like I'm trying to think of like the next time I can really remember him losing, because I'm like, after like SAO, he's in Alfheim, and like he doesn't really lose until like he tries to take on like the final dungeon to get to Asuna by himself, and literally it's impossible to do by yourself. So like it's understandable why he lost that. And then the next time he lost was like season 3 or something, when it was that girl that literally just lives in video games because she's so sick and she can't really do anything else. And it's just like there's no room for growth when it comes to stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like we we're not. We weren't bashing, but when we're talking about, if we want to talk about growth, I mean, there's 2 characters that come to mind, which would be Deku and Tanjiro. Tanjiro from Demon Slayer and Deku from My Hero. The thing is, like, the growth that Deku goes through season 1 to now the end of season 6 is tremendous.
It's a crazy amount of growth. Like, it's almost not even the same character anymore.
Right, and it's great. I mean, the thing is, like, but the one thing that I like about that as well is the fact that it kind of reminds me a little bit of a Haikyuu, because it's not just him that's growing. You have Bakugo, you have Todoroki, you have other characters around him. They're growing with him. They're trying to help Deku to be a better person, to be a better hero. So it's not just that, the thing is, like, the problem with other shows, older shows for that matter, I don't think so much about like Dragon Ball Z, because you have that friendly competition between Goku and Vegeta, which they're trying to surpass each other. But like, for instance, like even like Yu Yu Hakusho, you have growth between the main characters. There's realizations of stuff and how you can improve on yourself with going back to My Hero, have, Deku, and he grows with Todoroki. He grows with Bakugo. Bakugo has tremendous growth, but he's not a main character. He's not the main character. But he's one of the he's not the main protagonist.
He's one of the main characters, but he is not the main character.
Right, that was the point I was trying to make. But that's the thing. It's like Todoroki, great character for the fact that he has kindness in his heart to forgive to what his dad done,
Yeah, and just like how much he's grown since the beginning. Because like at first he was closed off asshole who didn't like talk or want anything to do with people. Now he's like he actually has friends. He's grown a lot. Like he's showing that he cares about people and people care about him. He's being there for people, and like you said, he's at least learning to forgive his dad for everything that happened to him too. And like at the beginning, there is no way that would have ever happened. To see that he's grown that much is pretty crazy.
Right, and and like the one main thing is like that you can think about when you're thinking about Todoroki is the fact that at first he didn't want to use his fire side. He wanted to only use his eye side because his dad is a total douche. If you haven't seen the show, Endeavor has tendencies of being a villain, unfortunately. And then that show, the way they did season 5, second quarter of season 5, brilliant. I'm a sucker for
some of the reveals, like Dabi. My God.
Well, and also that some of the stuff I know it's a little of a tangent, but on My Hero, it makes you be more sympathetic towards the villains. And I love that. Sometimes I hate shonen shows that are just about the main characters, the main heroes, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And,
like it actually goes into depth about like everybody else. Like you can learn like why the villains are doing what they're doing, and it helps you like them more and it helps you relate to them more, which actually just brings more into the show.
I think the one that I think I was almost on the verge of tears. It was the Shigaraki episode. Oh my fucking god!
When they were talking about his family.
Yeah, that episode, it's a sad fucking episode. Yeah, I'm even getting teary-eyed talking about it right now because it's like that when he accidentally kills his dog. Oh my god, it's just like it's so sad. It's just so sad. And it makes you have empathy and sympathy for those characters, and that's what I know. A lot of people bash on the show. It's a slow start, like you were telling me earlier. Like it's so hard to go back into it. Like Dr. Stone is so easy in comparison, but My Hero is just so hard in the beginning. But when it gets going, it goes. And that's what I would say about Deku. He starts off as being like kind of like a very bad main character because he whines a lot, he cries a lot. There's really no purpose. Like the only goal he has in life is to be number one. But then he has so much growth and depth, like you said, like it's not even the same fucking character. On Demon Slayer, I know you only seen a few episodes. I think you saw season 1. It's a great show. The take is also it's a slow burn. That's the thing. I think it's not so much about the different aspects of it. Every show is like, yeah, you have characters that are gonna make the story relevant and great. And with Tanjiro, it just yes, it like I said, it's not relatable at points because we don't live in feudal Japan or before feudal Japan. You don't have vampires or demons roaming around. Yes, and then at first it's like Nezuko, his sister, she's not an interesting character to begin with, but no,
and the only demon that runs off sleep. No, killed the show. I'm done. That's made me so annoyed.
That's the thing. It's like, it's like not for everyone. I'm not saying, but but she has a lot of growth too, and then that's down the line. Like I said, it's just it's the show encapsulates. He has a goal, and that's the thing. It's like a lot of the times the main problem with main characters is trying to achieve that main goal. Like you said, like Naruto has, his goals to being the number one Hokage. You have, Bleach. He has some type of goal. I'm not sure about the goal because I haven't seen it.
His goal is more of just like protecting the people he loves, kind of thing.
Right, and then it's like,
there is one show though that we haven't mentioned when it comes to like great MCs, great supporting cast, or just even great goals, and I feel like it just has to be mentioned because it is one of the GOATs. But Full Metal Alchemist, Edward Elric, he has to be considered one of the best. Whether it's just with how well the story is, or just like his growth, his powers, like his goals, like he's definitely one of the best. I would say. I'm not sure if you ever watched Full Metal Alchemist or Brotherhood.
Right, and that's the thing. It's like, yeah, it's like with that show, I haven't seen it, to be quite honest. I mean, it's one of the shows that is like the on my, but I have like so much backlog on the stuff that I'm watching. But it's just very interesting because he does have a goal. What I've seen or the videos I kind of watched, like here and there on YouTube, it seems like he's certain about himself and he wants to practically save himself and his brother, and they just have to go on this journey, and it's great. That's the problem that I think a lot of shows lack, is the character don't have a main goal, or the idea of them achieving something great is not really there. Like, for instance, even though I am a very big on Yu Yu Hakusho and stuff like that, but at first Yusuke didn't really have a goal set in mind. He didn't really have an idea of what he wanted to do. He was just kind of like a delinquent with no path, no certain ways to do it. But as he got stronger as a spirit detective, as a successor of his master and stuff like that, he was willing to beat the bad guy because he had the common goal was like, I have to save, the human world and stuff like that. So it's just like he was goalless at first, but then he became with a goal. There's one show, I'm not considering him a good MC. I don't think you've seen it, but I think you would enjoy it. It's a Blue Lock. Blue Lock is phenomenal. It's a great show. It's about the soccer one. Good lord.
Oh, it's a sports anime one?
Dude, it's fucking so good. It turns the whole idea of sports anime into his head. It's just fucking nuts.
Yeah, I've never watched any of the sports ones before. I've always been kind of like iffy about them.
No, Haikyuu is good. Haikyuu, the volleyball one, is good. Watch Haikyuu. I definitely recommend Blue Lock. And man, Blue Lock takes like the whole sports genre into its fucking head. It's just because the thing is, like, it takes the whole idea of teamwork and spins it. Like, it's not about teamwork. It's about individuals. It's about, you have to be the better one. You have to be the best. So there's no team. There's just you. And you have to be the best. You have to be conniving. You have to be cold. It's kind of like you playing like Squid Games, but with soccer players. They don't fucking die, of course, but it's a good fucking show. Oh my god, it's so good. I hated the way they did the Brazilian guy, but that's besides the point.
I mean, it makes sense why you would.
Right, but the thing is, like, the broken English and shit like that, I just don't like. I'm not a fan of that. But Blue Lock, like, the main character, it's like he has one goal at first, but then he has to, like, switch his mindset in order to just be like, okay, no, I have to beat this so-and-so. I cannot be really friends with this people because next day I might be against this person. So it's kind of like, so you kind of like, fuck. It's like, and the thing is, like, what I like is the fact that it's not typical. Because sometimes, like, okay, so-and-so is going to go through the next round, so-and-so is going to go through the next round. But no, you think that you don't. You don't. It's a good show. But the main character just, like, changes, like, perspective and stuff like that. But there's one character who's probably going to be the last character we'll talk about, because I don't want to keep this episode very long. Because I have stuff to do, like going to work. And but what was that?
That's a bummer.
Yeah, I know. It's been a really good episode so far. The one character, and it's gonna be the last character we'll talk about, is Mr. Ash Ketchum. Okay.
I see that, yeah.
So Ash, it's an interesting one. And God. I'm losing. Hey, stop.
That's an inside joke between me and her.
No, I know that. I know. Whatever. Anyways, losing my train of thought, man. But Spectrum. Oh, where to start with this boy? The thing is, like with Ash, is the fact that it's like it does the reverse growth.
Yeah, they dumb him down.
Well, I think the only time they did, okay, you probably agree with me. We talk about how backwards Black and White was. So it's kind of like Black and White goes backwards. He loses his whole ability to think.
Yeah, and it doesn't help. Like at the beginning, like Pikachu literally couldn't use his electric moves for like 2 episodes either. Like they royally screwed up Black and White so badly by dumbing it down and like just doing that soft reset on Pokemon. Because he was doing so good, learned so much, he's grown so much, he went through all those experiences. He should have won the Sinnoh League, but of course, like I said, they had a guy with hacks just come in and just throw legendaries at him, and he still beat 2 of the legendaries. No one else in that tournament could even beat 1. And then they go to Black and White, and he's like, I don't know typings anymore, I don't know what's super effective, I don't know moves. Like, he couldn't tell what type each starter was, like... And then they just brought in like a supporting cast of Silent, who was just a worse version of Brock, and then Iris, who just had the worst characteristics of all the females and just really didn't contribute anything. So like they just royally screwed him on that one. He didn't evolve any of his Pokemon except for Crocodile. He like it was just so far back from what he did that it's just like why even continue making the show at that point. I'm glad they went away with that.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's just like I think that you have like Cylinder. It's like Brock that you get on Wish because it was so bad. Iris, annoying. She's great on the games, but annoying on the show.
You're such a kid. Shut up.
Yeah, you're a kid as well. Okay, but the thing is, like, it made no fucking sense. I kind of started going back to watching Pokemon again, and unfortunately, I watched Black and White. OPs, good, they're great, but it doesn't really translate into the freaking whole show. But I love X and Y. X and Y is just kind of like it was a reset of the reset, which is funny.
X and Y was very good. It would have been probably one of the best generations, though, for him if Bonnie was not in it.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't dislike Bonnie. I know she was trying hard to be like Max from previous seasons.
She tried very hard and failed very hard.
Right, but what I would say, what also would make the season better, even for Ash, is the fact that he should have won. I mean, no questions asked. Yeah.
I know he had that power-up Super Ninja, the Ash Greninja form, but like, this is where Mega Evolutions were introduced. Your boy has a Charizard, which he used at the end of Black and White. He has a Charizard. He has other Pokemon that if he really wanted to, he could Mega Evolve. Like, he has a Heracross, he has the Gible line. He has multiple different starter lines. He has a Sceptile, but they didn't do anything with that, which was just it killed it because like if he say he Mega Evolved his Sceptile, which he's super close to, he used that Sceptile back in Diamond and Pearl to beat Darkrai. If he used that and he Mega Evolved, especially against because I mean it would have gained the Dragon type and everything.
Elaine or whatever his fucking name was. Elaine.
Alana. Yeah, like they could have done it so much better, and he definitely could have won. I'll admit I didn't watch Sun and Moon because I hated the animation style they did for him. They kept everything else the same, but they just
okay. Let's let you just touch on that. I was going to talk about is the fact that Sun and Moon was shit. I've seen a few episodes. I talked about this on the one that I talked for almost fucking 2 hours. But Sun and Moon, the problem was, two things. So he went from, the depressing there was on Black and White. He was really dumb. Yeah. To being actually competitive, capable of doing stuff on X and Y, and being actually top notch, almost like as back of being normal, like going back to like Diamond and Pearl and Ruby and Sapphire kind of situation. And then he goes back to fucking school on Sun and Moon. Makes no fucking sense. It's like you already are knowledgeable enough that how can you forget like the typings? You know, we as players of the game, like we've been playing the games for like 20 plus years, and the thing is like the typing is not that hard to figure it out. There's some when they introduce new types is a little bit hard to understand.
The only one
that's the one I was gonna say is like kind of skewed because it's kind of like a lot of people don't have a lot of fairy types, or they
it came in so late. It didn't come in until X and Y. So like
right, and that's the thing. It's like, but there's really no point of having him go backwards again. That's you know, and but you know, and the thing is, like, I like the fact that on the last one that he was in, before he became grand champion, which is bullshit. I'm sorry, it's bullshit.
One thing that I didn't like is he even though he went back to school and everything, he eventually he won. It was maybe that's just the games where you're the first champion, but like he became the champion of that, and then it was mentioned one other time in like one single ep again. Like he was on the same level as Cynthia and as Steven, as Alder, or I guess Iris took over as Diantha, and like it was just it was never going to be technically a Pokemon Master now. He is literally a champion. Just why would we ever bring it up? Like, that was so dumb.
No, it's just like the thing is like it just makes no sense because like Sun and Moon, she's like going back to school, and then on Journeys, like you said, like it doesn't. The fact that it wasn't mentioned, the fact that it doesn't even brought up is that big of a deal that you won, and also it just takes it away from the whole fucking thing. And I'm not saying like, I just wish it was like kind of like progressive with Ash because it's not. It's like he's probably, to me, he's like good and bad MC at the same time because
to be considered the very best, because he would have grown, he would have continued using all his Pokemon. He wouldn't have done just like went to each generation just with Pikachu. Like everything would have grown with him, and he could have been just like the best, but they just reset, forget. Don't mention. They don't bring back his old mons, except for maybe one episode. It's just like it kills it.
Yeah, it kills the momentum every time. So it's like you go like 5 steps forward and you go like 14 backwards. Like, you go from Ruby and Sapphire to Diamond and Pearl, and then you go backwards, and then you reset again, and then you go backwards. It's like
going to that, like, I know in Journeys he sometimes would bring in like some old Pokemon just for kind of like fan service, but Diamond and Pearl is really the last one where he really used his other Pokemon, because for that entire Sinnoh League, he switched up his team with all of his old Pokemon, gave them more training, even evolved the Cyndaquil into Quilava at that point during that, even though it's been 2 generations since he was in Johto. It's like that was some major growth for him and his entire team. And then he just never once did it again, except for when he brought Charizard back in Black and White, and that was just because Black and White was so terrible they had to do something to get it going.
Yeah, and then by the time they bought Charizard was already too late. It's like the thing is like, and the thing is like, I'm such a like a Charizard fan. It's like even Charizard with all his, majestic stuff and all his nostalgia, he can't save Black and White. I'm sorry. It's just the problem is that it was just bad all around.
In training his Pokemon, he would only keep a one team, so like he had like 3 or 4 extra that he caught that generation, which is like more than he caught in any generation except for the first one. And he just didn't use them, he didn't raise them, he didn't evolve them, he didn't do anything. Like the most he did, besides I guess evolve Crocodile and Leavanny, is like he taught Oshawott to open its eyes underwater. That's like all the growth that there was.
Well, the thing is like, and I'm sorry, it's like he had didn't he? Did he have a Tepig on that one, or am I getting confused?
No, he had all 3 starters, but not. I think you're right. Of course, it didn't go into an Emboar. Like,
Well, of course not. I mean, because what's the point? I mean, what is the fucking point? I mean, the thing is, like, the thing. Yeah.
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just want to say, but like in Black and White during the Electric Gym, he went in with a single Pokemon for a 3-on-3, his Palpitoad, that he caught and never used once. He was like, I'm gonna beat this entire gym with just his one Pokemon. Didn't prepare. Like it sucks like seeing him fall so hard.
Well, the problem I think is just like it takes, like, for instance, like we're talking about other shows, like, you'd have Deku and Tanjiro like growing, and you have the main character from Full Metal Alchemist, Brotherhood, just growing as a person. You have Yusuke eventually, like I said in the previous episode, when he came to a realization, what's the point of fighting and stuff like that. There's a lot of fucking growth with that, going from a delinquent to whatever it was. But then it's like with Ash, it's like you said, it's like it needs to be progressive from season 1 to season fucking 23, whatever the fucking how long seasons were. It's like just progress. The only time that he actually is using his brain is towards the end, but it's like at this point, why should I care? Why should I still be invested in this? It's like he's a good character in some seasons, he's a bad character in other seasons. It doesn't help, like, when he resets, everybody resets around him.
And then he comes back and he's just shirtless and he's the gym leader again. That shit pissed me off so much.
Well, yeah, that's the same thing. It's having Misty being back a cerulean gym leader. It's the same fucking thing. It's the same concept. Even though she didn't want to be a gym leader anymore. It's like, what was the point of having such a growth with him as a person, as being, less like oblivious about his surroundings, to just being a dumbass again. I love the fact, the one good aspect about Ash on the last season that he was there, it was on Journeys, where he became more of a wild card kind of trainer, to be more of like a more kind of like, more of like a professor in a way, like more like a teacher, to go.
Became like
Right, exactly. That's the only thing. Because the thing is, like, and I said this on the differences between the games and the show. Go is supposed to be us on Pokemon Go, pretty much, if you think about it. Because it's like he wants to catch all of them.
he caught a Suicune, dog. That shit pissed me off.
A lot of people talk about, your Jaegers, your Luffy's, your Goku's, your Yusuke's, your Ichigo's. We're from, Full Metal. You have all these other characters. I'm not gonna name them all because I don't remember them all. But then the thing is, like, a lot of people won't put Ash on that top 10 or that top 20 or top 50 because that same problem we're mentioning. And that's like, I don't know, because like Pokemon wants to be so devoted to market the new game, they just forget. So I really don't know. I really don't.
I don't know either.
It's just like I'm glad that they retired him after so long.
It is kind of sad though.
It's kind of sad, but at the same time, what next? And the thing is, like, and you said it best. Why should I care about this character if you're not allowed to keep the same party that you had before? Even if you keep 3 or 4, and I understand that's not how the games work, but at the same time, it's like, don't forget what happened previously. And I think that there's one, I'm not saying about Black and White, this episode pissed me off so much. He used his Snivy. I don't remember which gym it was, but he used a Snivy. That was a female. Okay? And he used Attract or Charm, one of the two moves, on a female opponent.
Why didn't it work?
Well, Ash, I'm glad that you're retired. I know it was sad, and for all the people that used to watch you tried to grow to be a Pokemon master, but I'm sorry, you're not on my top 10, top 20 MC of all time. There's other better MCs out there, and that
It breaks my heart because how much I love Pokemon too. But yeah,
But I mean, in summary, go watch a show that you like the MC. I know a lot of shows there's more to it than just the MC themselves, but just give it a watch. There's a lot of shows out there that, MC might be your cup of tea. Tanjiro might be your cup of tea. Deku, only on season 6, would be your cup of tea.
Oh my god.
And then there's other shows that, there's a lot of growth. There's a lot of important trauma and aspects of each character that makes the show tick, besides just the main character. So I mean, that's pretty much what I'm gonna end up with.
Let's go watch Bleach. We're waiting for 1,000 Year Blood War season 3. We need it. Go watch it. It's great.
Yeah. We give us suggestions of any episodes that whatever you want us to cover. I'm pretty open about anything that we can cover, and yeah, that pretty much does it. If you want more from us, you can follow us on Anime LT Pod at X or Twitter. Whatever. Yeah, that's the one you're going to follow. Anime Lost Translation on Discord. We don't really post much on there, but if you want us to be part of it, go ahead and do so. And also, if you want any suggestions, you send us an email at animelosttranslation@gmail.com. Thanks for having us, and we'll talk to you guys later.
Bye.